Yo, it is Stocks and Bars, the Stock Market Hip Hop Podcast, the only place where you can learn finance through hip hop. And today, who I have with me is a special guest, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I have with me Wordsworth. You may remember him from the Lyrist Lounge, but now he is up to some new things in his life, and he's going to share it with me and you. So stick around and let's have fun with this show. Let's go. I got my clique ready to use the money they got from jobs, encouraging, teaching them that it's not so hard. I'm doing this, making investing pop. You law, it's X-tro. You tuning in to Stocks and Bars. Check it out with me today, ladies and gentlemen, who I have with me. So, yo, the guy that I have today is a lyrical assassin, right? I used to watch this guy on the Lyrist Lounge show and faithfully watch it on MTV every single week. And quiet as kept, I got a VCR to make sure, on purpose, I got a VCR. Went to Best Buy and copped one with the tapes to make sure that I recorded every single episode. And you don't know, I got every single episode on VCR on cassette. Still, can't play them. But if I do ever find a device again in order to get them off, I still got it. But yo, big fan. He's recently dropped a book called Socks. I'm getting it myself. It's in my cart right now. I'm definitely going to get that. I want to share it with my girls because I read with my girls every single night. And he recently also dropped an album called Fragility of Life. And it's a banging album. It is representative of understanding life in the moment that you are in right now. But yo, I don't want to say anymore. I want to introduce you, ladies and gentlemen, Wordsworth. Yo, what's going on, my brother? I appreciate you coming on the show.
What's up, y'all? Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it too.
Yeah, man. I'm a little starstruck. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you, but I'm gonna hold my composure here because I appreciate you spending your time with me. But yo, I'm from Brooklyn. All right. I used to live on Patchen Avenue, and this was in 81 is when I was there, 81 to about 91 or so. I know you're from Brooklyn, so where you stay at in Brooklyn?
I'm from Kensington, which is like one street over from where Flatbush begins. So I grew up Coney Island Avenue and Caton Avenue.
Okay.
So Coney Island Avenue, Caton Avenue, Church Avenue, Prospect Park is right across the street from where I live at. Parade grounds. If I just say parade grounds, you know what that is. That's where all the sports happen, right? The Bonnies and all these other things, Skyhawks and all of this used to play there, everything. So that's where I'm from.
Yeah, Kings County, man, right here. On Myrtle Avenue, like I said, Patchen, Decatur, all of that, man. Yeah. So we're going to talk about hip hop, our influences, and how it shaped us and how it shapes the world. Because I firmly believe that hip hop is the biggest influence there is. And I've watched countless commercials, TV shows, movies, whatever it is. If it's popular, there's a high percentage chance that there's some hip hop involved in it somewhere. So I want to start off a few questions here that we got, and got about 4. All right. And we're going to go ease into this one. All right. So the first one that I got right here, as far as hip hop is concerned, something about hip hop that influenced you to do something. So tell me about a time in life where hip hop influenced you to actually do something.
I would say when I was in college, I was doing my papers in college, and I had gotten one of my papers I handed in, and you know how you're supposed to go like quote something from a book and all of this. Yeah. I didn't at that time. I was like new to college. I didn't know how to like necessarily cite something and reference it. Yeah. So I just feel like I heard like you got to write it in your own words. So I twisted the words around, and I guess I didn't cite it right. And they was like, this here is kind of like plagiarism. So you can't put this in there. And I got offended because hip hop, you never supposed to bite nothing. You know what I'm saying? Right. I got offended. I was highly offended, like plagiarism. I'm like, what are you talking about?
What you talking about? Yeah.
Right. So I took that, and that actually made me make the decision to write all my papers in college in rhymes. So from since then, for the next 4 years, everything in every class is all my papers are in rhymes. Oh, and that's how I graduated.
That's what's up, man.
That's from hip hop. That's from hip hop instilling that in me to be original.
Yeah, because that's a big offense when you tell somebody that you was biting somebody's rhymes.
Right.
Yeah,
that was huge.
Yeah. Till this day, there's still beefs that's going on because somebody's rhymes got bitten by somebody else and they ain't cool with it.
Exactly. Once that was said to me, I was kind of like, nah. So my thought on it was, okay, so how do I avoid this ever being said? I'll just write it in rhymes. And then now, it's mine. There's no way. Yeah, there's no way it couldn't be. So
this is all my thumbprint. You can't say nobody else's. Yeah, that's dope, man. I never would have thought to ever write anything in college in a rhyme format. Because
I mean, that's I was just like, I did it once. I did it in I think the first one was People, Power, and Politics. I posted it on my Instagram like real early when I first started doing Instagram.
Okay.
And then a lot of people heard about it. They didn't know if it was real or not. But then I actually have all the papers from college. So I actually have all the papers. I actually have the actual grades on them and everything for them and the comments from the professors. So yeah, that was one of the things that I would say hip hop influenced me to make sure I was original, because that's what hip hop always does. Right. If you're gonna dress your style. You can get the same sneakers. We got the same sneakers, but I'm gonna make sure I rock them different.
Yeah.
We got, you got the same hat. But when I come through with the hat, my hat might be like this. Your hat might be like this. It's just like, I can't come through rocking the same way you rock it.
Right.
That's the cool thing about hip hop, and that's what it instilled in me. And I took that into academics.
Yeah, one of the things that influenced me was you was talking about the sneakers. I was a Nike sneakerhead, right? Until what recently happened. But anyway, I was a huge Air Max fan, and I did that because everybody else was, Air Jordaned out.
Yeah.
I never really, rocked the Jordans. I haven't had a pair ever in my life. However that sounds is how it sounds. But I always went with Air Max. But then I started seeing some other cats rocking them, right?
Right.
So I was like, nah, he got my same shoe. All right, now I got to change the laces. So now I had to change the laces up.
Laces was a big deal too. Yeah. You did the checkerboard laces.
Yeah, you had to make sure you remix it so it's yours. Yo,
yeah. It would be the opposite for me in a way, because I never had a pair of Air Max and I always wanted a pair.
Okay.
Never.
Okay.
Even to this day, I ask my daughters like, yo, how's the circulation in those? Tight on feet? Because I'm like looking at them and I always wanted to get a pair, but like I'm not necessarily a track sneaker person like that, except for, I have Forenzas back in the days and stuff, but I still want a pair of Air Max to this day. So that might be something down the line.
Yeah, I've always loved them, man. To this day, I still love Air Max sneakers.
Yeah. One of the best designs ever.
Yeah. Air Max 93s, if you want to get your first pair. I remember vividly, this was way long time. Hip hop is still in the veins, right? At work, I wore a shirt. No, it was a sweater. It was a sweater, as a matter of fact. And I had copped it. It was a polo sweater. It was black. It was an Argyle joint. It was black, white, and gray. Thought it was fresh, right? I go to work.
Right.
I see another cat wearing it. I ain't wore that sweater to this day.
Yeah.
Long gone from that job, still ain't wore that sweater. I was like, nah, I seen somebody else and I can't wear it no more.
All right. That's just hip hop, man.
It was like, that's how deep it runs, man.
It is.
All right. Next question I got for you concerning hip hop. All right. Something that influenced you to drink. What is something that hip hop influenced you to actually drink?
Nothing really. I don't drink.
Okay. Well, we're talking about any liquid. We're not going to say alcoholic liquid. Beverage. Yeah. Anything that influenced you to drink.
Back then it was quarter waters.
Quarter water, right? Okay.
Quarter waters. And maybe tropical fantasies. Like that was just in the hood. This on the basis of hip hop is living in your community. So
Yeah.
culturally, at that time, you don't have a whole bunch of money when you're younger.
Right.
So whatever's going on in your community. So in our community, as you know, is all across the globe at that time. Not across the globe, I'll say in our cities in the States.
Yeah.
You had the quarter waters.
Yep.
You had the tropical fantasies. You would get a Yoo-hoo. What else was the other drink of choice back then? Oh, and then you had the other 50 cent soda started coming out to compete with it. So it was pretty much whatever you could afford that was like 50 cents at that time. The 50 cent sodas was crazy.
Yeah, the soda game is actually the first thing that I started drinking was Sprite. It was off of hip hop, right? Because this was the commercials. Grant Hill drinks Sprite. Grant Hill drinks Sprite, and I was like, yo, and I was trying to hoop. And, you know, in 92, I think it was when Grant Hill, you know, was coming out of Duke, if I remember right. And that's when I started really trying to ball heavy, right?
Yeah.
So he was drinking Sprite. I'm like, yo, maybe I should be drinking Sprite. So the hip hop influence kicked in. Next thing you know, I'm drinking Sprite, which is a terrible drink now that I look at it.
You know, the biggest influence though from hip hop was the St. Ives commercials.
Oh, I was about to get into that.
I never drank St. Ives. I never drank beer, stuff like that. But like the rhymes just for the commercials were even crazy.
Exactly.
Like the Rakim one was crazy. I believe
Wu-Tang.
the G-Rap had.
Wu-Tang like did one. Ice Cube.
Yeah, the rhymes for the commercial were even ill back then. Yeah. So that shows you how big of an influence hip hop had on just beverages, like you said. And then now you see Drake doing one with Sprite, and you see other artists doing the same thing. But yeah, back then those St. Ives commercials were incredible. It was like super dope.
Bro, I did a show recently where I covered that same thing, and I dug a little bit and come to understanding that St. Ives really had no footing at all. They came to them and was like, yo, can you help us launch this? And they did, and that's what took it off, just straight off of hip hop, period. No, nothing else. Just hip hop took the drink to the level where it got to. And I found that amazing, man, that we had that much star power that they could just say, this is the drink you need to drink, and everyone was like, "Yes."
You remember hip hop? They had the hip hop even in the Kool-Aid commercial.
Yeah.
So at the Kool-Aid commercial, so they knew what was going on with it. So it's easy to track if you really think about it. Like everybody knows, like if you're gonna look at music, hip hop is the #1 music in the world.
Right.
So it's easy to look at it. It's just about, do you want to take a risk at it? And if you're going to do it, are you going to do it well enough that it works? And I think that's sometimes the apprehension that comes along with it is choosing the right people to do it, how it's done, because you don't want the backlash of doing it and it's not good. But hip hop is always at the forefront of any advertisement decision.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It don't matter what it is. It could be a TV. There's somebody that's pitching a hip hop. I'm sure there's people pitching hip hop in a TV thing. There's somebody pitching that. And then the thing about the way the world is now, the outlets are so vast. You can do a hip hop version for Samsung TV or something like that, and then just only have it on YouTube. Yeah. Right? And then the regular commercial that comes on TV for like Super Bowls and stuff is not nothing with hip hop. So the outlets of where you actually pinpoint and strategize the type of commercials change. Back then, it was whatever the commercial was done, that's it, because we only watched it in one format. Now it's like, 6-second clip, 20-second rap video, this, that. So that has changed. But hip hop advertisements are at the forefront of every product. I would bet that every product has discussed hip hop.
Yeah. Another one was McDonald's, because I remember the whole thing when the jingle. And they got paid, and when I researched into that, they got paid $1 million. And Pusha, come to find out after the fact, years later, got upset about the deal, because they made more money off of it and whatnot. It was like, that's business. This is how they typically get down. It was easy for them to write that $1 million check because they knew it was coming right back to them within a month. It was nothing to them. But to us, that's a lot of money, in the first outlook.
I got paid one time to do a gig, man. I got paid one time. I actually got paid twice to do this gig. I got hired to come in. One of my friends was working at an advertising agency.
All right.
And that advertising agency was trying to close a deal with Heineken. And they actually paid me to fly up and sit in the meeting. And then I did this whole big thing and freestyled about the entire meeting and surmised it up and just like summed it up. So, and then that sealed the deal. That freestyle I did sealed the deal. And to the point that the president of the advertising agency had me for a birthday party again.
Because you're in freestyle,
yeah. So it's being used in so many arenas. It's just different ways that people choose to use it. But my friend, when he called me to come do it, he was taking a chance with his job. But he told them, he said, if you have this guy come do it, if you have this guy Wordsworth come do it, I guarantee you we get it. And it worked. So always consider it. It's all about, do you have the guts to do it?
Yeah, man. I love it. I'm glad that you're able to at least get something out of it. That's what's good. All right, next one I got for you, man. This was going to be a little bit difficult. All right, so name me something that hip hop has influenced you to actually say. Okay, what is it, like a word, a phrase, or something that you learned early on about hip hop that influenced you? It's like, I'm going to use that in a sentence.
I wouldn't say necessarily like a phrase, a sentence. Of course, like how we talk with the slang is always there. Still using the word dope. Some kids still say fresh. Now say fresh, and that's an older word.
It came back.
It came back. But I think it's just more so it allows me to have like the courage and motivation to talk about social things going on and things that allow me to be the storyteller that I am. So I'm able to kind of like put together ideas and reality of what's going on in somebody's home or in their mind or in their hearts or in the world globally. So hip hop has really influenced me and helped me pretty much figure out my voice.
Yeah.
Right. So like when we first started rapping and stuff, like in the 90s, when I'm coming up trying to rhyme and get known, it's really about battling a lot.
Right.
It's battling to get your name known. So you go places, you go to open mics, you go here. So it's about notoriety. And then after the notoriety aspect of it, as you get older and you start seeing other artists, you start having to figure out what box are you going to fit in.
Yeah.
And then you have to choose that box. And then that box, you have to kind of stay with it and then craft it. So I would say the storytelling aspect of being able to speak about things and provide a voice, not only for myself, but for people that don't understand or have an outlet to speak about certain things. So I would say hip hop has motivated me to say things for myself and others.
Good. Yeah, man. Yeah, it took me a long time to actually find my comfortable voice. Because when I first started, like you said, I started rhyming I want to say when I actually started putting it to paper, probably in like late 2000s. As far as like my first introduction to hip hop was mid 80s. And it was Daddy Kane. And it was Big Daddy Kane, Half Steppin'. And I remember hearing that song. And I remember listening to it, trying to get the lyrics. And after a while listening to it and I got the lyrics, I started reciting it. And then that's where, it happened right there. And then fast forward. I definitely remember this. The first time I actually started writing, I was writing down the rhymes of Warren G. Regulate. Because I wanted to learn the lyrics, because me and my cousin used to love Warren G. So I had the album, I'm listening to it, and I would tape pause, write down what he said, write it down. This is how I learned to count bars at that time too. Right. So that's when I really started like writing it. I wrote somebody else's and then I started writing based off of that. But since then, I started, listening to other people, like, who am I in this, then I started doing the whole gangster stuff, talking guns and drugs and all that stuff. And I never really felt comfortable in that skin because I never dealt drugs. It was never really me. I did own guns and all that stuff. That was the silly stuff.
That wasn't my vibe neither. But when I first started rapping, that was what I would rap like too. Like got the 9 and all this stuff. And I'm never nothing like that. But I started that because my favorite rapper was G-Rap.
Oh, okay, okay.
You emulate who your favorite rappers are at that time, right? Yeah. So like right now, I got kids that that I teach and stuff like that. They like Kodak and they like whoever they like.
Yeah.
But and when we're working on music or putting together songs, their mindset is to go to who they first identify with in the neighborhood. So some of the lyrics they start writing, I'll be like, yeah, you don't got to write that. There's alternative. So you don't, remember back then it was such a small kind of like micro world.
Right.
So that's what I had. That's what I thought was dope. That's who was dope.
Yeah.
So I want to be as dope as them. So that's what I'll say. You got to find yourself as you age and mature. You change. Everybody changes. So it took me some years to really go like, okay, what lane am I going to choose? And then, around like 90s, that's when I started figuring it out. Like, okay, I don't want to just be this guy here for that. And the longevity is in this bag here. So that's what made me choose the storytelling avenue.
Okay. Yeah, it took
but
me.
G-Rap had me. I was talking crazy with the explicit lyrics. I was out of control. That's what I had. G-Rap is. We know G-Rap. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm a kid, that's my influence. That's what I'm copying.
Man, yeah, we could go bar for bar with G-Rap. What he got, man? Listen, between G-Rap and Nas, but my top 5: G-Rap, Nas, Styles P, Black Thought, and can't think of who my 5th would be. But definitely those 4 right there will seal. I'm gonna put Prodigy in there. Prodigy is gonna be in my top 5 right
now.
My
there. 5?
If you got a 5, go ahead. Let me know what the 5 is.
G-Rap got to be in there because you don't get the Nas's and
you can't get Nas without that. Yeah,
and even Jay-Z refers to G-Rap.
G-Rap.
So I would say G-Rap. I definitely got to say Nas. I got to say Jay-Z. I could say Big too. And then number 5 of all time, man, it's I don't know, man.
It's hard.
I might have to leave number 5 open for a minute because I like a lot of the new dudes.
Okay.
They're paving their way. I think M might have to be on there for number 5.
But M is an interesting. Yeah, there's no order.
Maybe no order, but I think M got to be on there with no doubt. M has to be on there because he made everybody step up their game. Like as far as rhyming, M has to be on that list.
Yeah, we can have controversy right here because the way I feel about Eminem is I love his music, right?
Yeah.
I feel like at this point in time right now, he's still trying so hard. It feels like when I hear his rhymes, I feel like this is just me, my interpretation of it, right? It feels like he's really trying to hammer home a point that he's really good. Like, I know you're really good already, all right? I feel like I don't need to hear that anymore, basically. That's how I feel about it. I still love how he rhymes. I always thought he was ill. But as far as the content he continues to make at this point, I feel like it's like beating a dead horse. Like, I know you're good already. Like, you don't have to keep telling me this anymore. Like, give me the maturity, give me the growth, give me, the Eminem that's experiencing new stuff now. Like, if I'm not hearing that, then maybe I'm just missing it. But that's how I feel.
Yeah, I mean, I like Eminem stuff when I hear it. I kind of feel like it's always new people.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's a new generation that will hear how good he is. So I think he feels like I got to do reminders. I think every album is like that for me too. I always have like one joint on there. I'm like, let me just.
Yeah, I'm still that dude.
I'm still nice. Yeah, so I think he's more in a reminder situation, and that's really pretty much how I see it. I don't the one thing I learned is just like I don't even like to critique artists
I can dig
because
that. Yeah.
being an artist, nobody cares about what you're going through in your life.
Okay.
All they care about is when you give them the product. So they don't have no understanding of what it takes
What?
to even make the product.
Okay.
Whether it's good or bad. So being an artist and being productive with doing books and TV shows, all this stuff I do, there's a lack of understanding of what the recipe takes as a
To even make
person to
that.
put it
Yeah.
out. So I try to avoid critiquing something. I can say if I like it or not, but I try to avoid uh, critiquing it to a point unless I have a suggestion and things like
Okay.
that. So I try to live more by that. But I can tell you if I like it or not, but I may tell you more of what I like about it than what I don't like about it. Because that's just I kind of find that's kind of where we are as a culture sometimes too. It
True.
keeps
True.
us we're very negative, man,
Man.
like
Yeah. We
about stuff.
bash.
I don't really see that in other genres. I'll be honest. If I
You
watch an
right. You
R&B
right.
interview, if I watch a country interview, I've never seen like a country, I guess, podcast or interview and all that, and they're going at, yeah, he don't play the guitar the way he used to. I don't. I've never seen it.
Right.
So
Right.
I just haven't. So I try to keep everything in a positive light of understanding that um, you got life and struggles and things you're going through to put together the project. There's so
Yeah.
many people that will critique somebody's album and they never put an album out.
Album. Right. Right.
That's a whole nother issue. So I know what it takes. I've done it maybe 8, 9 times, 10 times. And books, I've done it now a couple of times, and other things I've done several times to understand the wherewithal it takes to do it. So that
Process.
way, yeah, the process. I can't really I don't really critique people, man, like in this, like what they got going on, because I just know what it takes to do it. So I
Yeah.
just kind of look at it like when people are critiquing stuff, they have to kind of also ask themselves, what have they done in
Right.
comparison to that? Um, but also as the culture in general, I just want us to kind of enjoy what we like about somebody, what somebody did,
Instead of
and
bashing
maybe
and talking about the
yeah,
negative.
I
Yeah.
just want
Yeah.
to talk
Yeah.
about like, man, that's dope that you did that. How'd you get that out? I'm looking to do this, and let's share the information from a positive perspective because we're already down.
Right. Yeah. Like,
We're already like down years. We're talking about hundreds of years of being behind on stuff.
and
And
we
then
just
we're
pushing
like,
ourselves further down for no
yeah,
reason. Yeah.
and then we
Yeah.
just do it. So I'm like, we're mad far behind what other genres as far as people culturally celebrating each other.
This is a
So,
this is a good topic, and I'm gonna tangent this right to basketball,
yeah,
right? Because a lot of people do the LeBron, Michael,
yeah,
and this is a perfect explanation as to why we should not be doing this, because
yeah,
you got a guy right now that is creating history. Just appreciate what he's doing. Like, why are we comparing him to a guy who also created history? That
yeah.
they
I
the
like
both of them.
LeBron and Jordan. For me, it's going to be LeBron, and I've seen both.
Yeah.
Uh, but LeBron, what is it, 9 straight finals?
Finals. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he's lost some. Yep, no doubt. He's won some
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
But also the fact that he has a school and every kid that graduates from that school gets a
You're
scholarship to
taking care of
college.
that. Yeah.
I mean, there's like a lot of other things about LeBron for me that resonate with me and like understanding the pressure that it takes to do that. We're talking about coming out of high school. If you remember what you were thinking like about in high school at like 17, 18, you had no idea of what the world, you had no idea what the world is, and to be
Right.
able to have people help you navigate through that and then make it here, it's super difficult to do all of that. But I would say definitely for me it would be LeBron,
Yeah.
just being the greatest for me, just off a lot of that consistency. Um,
He put it down, man. And
yeah,
still doing it.
outside,
And still doing it.
it's past basketball for me. It's past
Yeah, yeah,
basketball.
true, true. Yeah, he's putting in the work outside of basketball, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I resonate exactly what you're saying, man. When people ever bring that topic up to me, I just digress. Like, listen, man,
Yeah.
you seeing greatness and excellence in front of your face, and you too busy looking behind you in the rearview mirror, man. Like, just appreciate what you got, because it's gonna be gone one day, and then you be like, dang, I wish I would. Yeah. Like, nah, man, it's right here. Just enjoy it, man.
Yeah, and that's just kind of my vibe with a lot of stuff. I just feel like I don't want it's like it's a lot of negative we put on each other about stuff. It's just part of the culture. I'm like, man, I don't really like that part of the culture, because I've been part of the culture too, though, right? Because like, of course, I'm a fan. Yeah, I buy stuff. I've bought stuff and be like, yo, this album whack, or whatever the case, right? Or this is terrible. I do that now. If I don't like a movie, I'll be like, nah, I ain't gonna see that. But I'm not like outwardly putting stuff out there to bring down somebody else's creative flow. Yeah. So I just think like, let's just try to find the good stuff that somebody likes about something. And if we can keep it in that level, it'll, I think, bring us way further than we are from a genre perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, this kind of segues into the next topic that I got going on, man. It's about imagery. And what I learned about imagery, I learned from college. I learned from college about how the military would never allow photos of the caskets that come from overseas from the people who were killed in war. And they would never allow that because they didn't want the imagery of death associated with the military. And I was like, that's powerful, right? And so at that point in time, I started looking at things from the perspective of imagery. Why is it that way? And I look at everything right now that you ever see on TV, it is very intentional. Anything you see, it's because somebody thought it out to make sure it's there. So I say that because there's a lot of times when I was growing up where we were pigeonholed into specific things, all right? When I was growing up, you had the hoop, some type of sports, entertainment, whatever, right? I didn't see anybody in business suits. I didn't see anybody who was in the financial space. I didn't see people who were moving and shaking in different areas. I didn't see, this vast spectrum of different colored people doing things other than what I saw in front of me. So what is something that you remember that changed your perspective on something once you saw somebody else of color in that space?
I mean, traveling the world, I've landed in countries, performing in countries where, you stop at a restaurant, right? Where it's like 6 of us together in a tour van, driving on a highway through maybe Germany or another country, and you got to stop to eat. There's people that never seen Black people.
That's wild.
In person, yeah. Right? Imagine, because you've been living in your country in this area for so long, there's no Black people really there in that area at all, unless you're in the military and stuff like that. Yeah. And we're driving miles and hours into past little cities, but we need a rest stop and there's food. Yo, let's go get something to eat. And you just come out of the van and it's like,
people look at you like an alien, yeah.
Yeah, like, oh, snap. Little kids look at you like, oh, snap. I've never seen these people before. So that's been kind of, some of what I could say as far as, being somewhere and seeing people of another race and stuff like that. But overall, when you talk about imagery, exposure is very key. Yeah. So, for instance, like, I remember I took my students to the Apple store. Some of them never been there. Ever. They didn't, because it's so far from where they live in their community, they can't get to the store. And that was like a huge deal for them. Like, what? We're going to the Apple store. And they were like, man, I got some money. And I was just like trying to get them to see it so they could see people work there. And then they can aspire to actually work here and say, I've been there. Yeah. So being there and exposure is the biggest thing for anything, right? So if you don't see somebody in suits, you don't even know it's possible. Right. If you don't see somebody with this, all I thought was possible was the big change. Yeah. Sneakers. Yeah. Whatever we saw in the community is what you think is what's possible. If you have a parent doing something or have a certain job, then you can be like, oh, my dad does that. My mom does that. Yeah. So I can do that, but it's all about reflections and imagery. Everything is reflection and imagery because you have to see it to believe it. And that's a huge phrase that phrase may be underrated.
Extremely underrated. Like I said, everything is intentional. The things I see now, I feel like are done to make sure that it is highly perpetuated of what they want you to be. Okay.
Yeah,
that's why I think
you got different financial gains, right? So you got let's say person A uploads it because they want likes. And that gain may not be financially in that form. It may be emotional finances, right? So it fills their heart and their joy to get somebody to hit like on something, right? Then you have the financial person of putting something up so it could get monetized and you actually do get paid from it. And then you got the financial gain of something that's more long term, maybe like I'll put this up because it affects a political standing. Or then you got the other gain of I'm putting this up because seeing people hurt by it also gives somebody joy. Sometimes hurt can bring somebody joy. So there's like all these dynamics of the reason why people put it up, but in some way it's still like a gain that everybody gets in this emotion. It's either you getting fulfilled emotionally or financially. And those are pretty much the two territories with it to me. But there's a gain there for each person, and nobody's the same, man. So you're gonna have weird people posting stuff,
which I've seen.
Other weird people, and everybody has an audience. You could put, I don't care, you could post anything up, and if the world sees it, there's gonna be a like for it. Somebody's gonna click like.
Yeah. The weird thing, man. I watched on Netflix a documentary about Facebook and how, originally it was started to be this whole social interaction thing where you get people together, right? And then all of a sudden after that, they started really pushing it to make sure that people just stay locked in on their phones. So they would constantly send you notifications. They do all this, or something as small as like when you texting. They came out with a little bubble that makes sure that you see if somebody else is responding back to you. So that way you stick to the phone. And I was like, yo, this is wow.
Right? About addiction.
Yeah, they feed into this to make sure that you can constantly stay on this device. So at that point, I disassociated myself with notifications. I don't want all that.
Yeah, I don't have notifications neither. That's wild. I have like a text message. That's what's coming through. But I don't have no Facebook notifications. I don't have Instagram notifications. I don't have Twitter notifications. I don't have none of that. So I don't know when people are tweeting. I don't know when Instagram, if somebody leaves me a message. So like when me and you communicating, I'm getting back so many hours later, vice versa, because we don't know. Right?
Right.
So I pride myself off of that on the basis of I figured, why am I going to put so much time into something of somebody else's creativity when that same time I can be creating my own stuff and myself. So I want to make sure my time is valuable, man. Time is the most valuable thing you have. So I only check. I'll see Facebook. I leave for work at like 7:20. So then I don't necessarily see Facebook until maybe midday at lunch. So then I might not see it after that till like maybe in the evening. So we talking about maybe twice I see Facebook or Instagram through a day, twice.
Yeah.
At the most. But I just feel like what I'm trying to create needs the time of the nurturing and time of me putting it into that. So I can look at other people's stuff and things like that. That's cool. But I need that nurturing and time on my own stuff so I can create.
Right. Yeah, you hit it right on the nose, man. The communication we had, I was the same way. I was like, oh, let me go ahead and check back in and see, if there's anything. All right.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. And then once that's done, shut it down. I'm good. Right. You hit something that I talk about regularly about time because shout out to my good friend Bakari. We talk about this on a regular basis about how time is the ultimate of all that you want to take care of, man, because you only have so much of it. It's finite. Everything else, can be replicated, duplicated, or whatever it wants. There's so much money. Money will be printed, destroyed as much as it wants. You only have so many, right? But he broke it down further to me. This is why I love the conversations we had. You got only so many heartbeats. You only got so many breaths. You only got so many blinks. Like once those are up, it is over. You don't have any more. You can't borrow any. It's done. So you got to make sure you take care of what you have, because at any point in time, you never know. Tomorrow could be my last day picking my daughter up, and then she'll never get picked up by me anymore. That's how I always think about every single day.
I didn't think like that years ago though. When I was young, running around.
Oh yeah, I didn't either. Yeah,
I'm running around. I'm trying to hit the lotto with my ideas and stuff like that. So I'm running around and around. And then you get older and you start seeing people passing away. I rap about it on the album. I talk about it in the album. You start seeing your stars, your kid stars, and all that stuff. And then you realize, you look at yourself where you are, and you start questioning, your midlife crisis of, did you fulfill some of these things and all that. I think that's just reality of what it is as you get older. And then you try to understand time, and you try to, hopefully spend it wisely and be here with these people, put it into your craft and all that. I don't think you could ever really be satisfied by doing like you've done it all with your time. I don't think you can be satisfied fully. I think you're always going to feel like you left something on the table with it.
This is true.
But you gotta enjoy your time with what you're doing. And I think if you're enjoying the process of whatever it is with your time, you don't feel like it's wasting, and or you feel like somebody else doesn't value your time, then that's where it gets tricky for me. Like if I feel like somebody's like wasting my time with stuff, that's where I get a little agitated. I'm like, yeah, but see, now I can't get that back.
It's gone.
I could have been working on this. I could have been doing this. So I could be with the fam. I could have been doing this. I could be doing that. And so it's just something people have to recognize. The earlier you recognize it, the better. The more, I think, more successful you'll be.
Man, listen, the wasting time thing is something that hits home, because like I once I started to realize that I only have so much of it, I make sure that I allocate my time wisely as best as possible and value it, man. Like I said, I don't know how many more I got, so I make sure that if the day comes that it is my last, nobody's gonna be like, well, he didn't do X, Y, Z. Like, nah, man. I left it there, yeah.
One of the main things, man, if you really want to think about time, is like, for me, is like when I was younger, I thought Biggie and Tupac would live forever.
Yeah.
Right? So now it's been 20 something years, and you start to realize like, yo, that's not factual from them. Those were, I think, some of the most major impactful things to make you realize how time worked. Like, so when we're young, then I couldn't fathom a Bob Marley not being around, right? Because I didn't grow up with Bob Marley, or some of these other people like John Lennon and all that. I didn't grow up with that, so it couldn't impact me the same way it may have did my parents or other people.
Yeah,
it wasn't until losing the Biggies and the Pops that you start going like, oh wow, this okay. Now I'm starting to understand a little bit about you losing your musicians at a certain time, and time has gone by so long, and then the impact of what they put out. And so there's a lot of things that you got to there's so many dynamics that you got to thread together. It's hard to wrestle with it at times, but you just gotta do what you do.
Yeah. Speaking of Big, man, I like Big, right? So we're going to talk about a topic here that, might be controversial, right? A lot of people put Big in their top 5 a lot. And you did too. And I used to do that, okay? But then I started thinking about it in the sense of respect to the culture, respect to everybody else actually putting in on the craft, right? Big was young when he passed, unfortunate.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he only had 2 bodies of work by the time he was done. So then comes a guy who has 10, 15 bodies of work, 20 bodies of work, right? And then you come and you say, you know, Big's top 5, right? And you don't put the artist that's, you know, very consistent in there. So that's why I started thinking about it from the perspective of consistency. Like, okay, these guys have been around. I got to give respect due to the guys that's actually still doing the work. Big came and he went, unfortunately. He didn't have the opportunity. It was taken from him to get to that spot. So that's why I personally can't do it. So is there a reason why, you know, you think that other people put Big in their top 5?
Oh, yeah. You gotta, well, I don't say you gotta, but if you think about it, the other people that's usually in the top 5 all became who they were because of Big.
Okay.
Right? Because if you think about everybody's album that came out before Ready to Die or during Ready to Die, after Ready to Die came out, everybody changed their formula. Everybody changed their formula of how to put together an album.
Okay. I didn't think about it from the spin.
Or even the songs. Even the song first singles were different. Even got some of the same producers that Big had.
Yeah, true. Easy Mo B.
You know, track masters.
Yeah.
Right. So that Big album actually changed how everybody made albums. Nas changed how everybody can have more content in a way and be more accurate with their content.
True. I can go with that.
But Big's album changed how you have your content and make an album. Big changed how you make an album. Everybody that came out after Big album, if you came out before Big, after Big album dropped, everybody album was different. Their second album.
They had a different format. Yeah, because he started to do the flow for the girls. I don't really think too many songs before Big did that. And I could be wrong.
But just selling records.
Yeah.
Nobody sold records their first albums.
That's true. People went platinum after the fact.
Yeah. Like years later. You're talking about some of those albums that came out.
Yeah, they went platinum after that.
Like 15 years later or something.
Yeah.
10 years later, right? So you don't even get the next Jay-Z albums and necessarily It Was Written and stuff like that without Ready to Die.
Okay. I could go with that. Thank you for educating me on that, because I always approached it from the perspective of just work put in by other artists.
Yeah, but I mean, I was around at the time hanging with track masters while they were working on the Nas album. I remember Pope playing me Juicy before it came out in Trackmaster's office. And I remember this, we all recall that era. And in that era, everybody dropped, but Big had the biggest album.
Yeah.
Everybody's sophomore album was going to be the next Big. That's the competitive to be who was the king of New York at that time. And everybody album that came out was actually their first single was based off the fact that Big had a Juicy and showed you how to make a commercial single. So then everybody's singles after that became commercial because nobody sold the amount of records Big sold. So if you don't have Big and Puff, gotta say Puff, knowing how to craft the album, you do not get the next albums and the understanding of how to make music for the radio.
Okay.
There's a lot that goes from that. That Big album changed the whole trajectory of every rapper around that time in New York.
All right. Thank you for the education, sir. That's why you are still the professor.
Yeah, I'm just saying, man. I try to be real. Yeah. You know, to me, Nas is one of my favorites, you know what I'm saying, up there high for me, because I kind of have some of that influence people say sometimes, so I'm fine with that. But, like, that's just a fact.
Yeah.
Ready to Die dropped, and nobody else was selling records.
Okay. Yeah, Nas is my top. Anything that's been shaped as far as how I rhyme now has been still based off of when I heard Nas at the very first time. And that's how I've always shaped myself, is like, all right, this guy, I listened to that. You know, I was just telling my wife, I was like, yo, is there any other music genre that you listen to, you go like this with the stank flex, like, ooh, like hip hop is the only place that you can do that and be listening to it and be like, dang, you heard what he just said? Like,
Right.
no, nothing else. You can't listen to no country, no rock and be like this at all. It ain't none of that. It's just, I was like, well, how do you think they listen to it? She's like this.
I think they have that same reaction. I think they do. As if you're an artist, a lot of people have that same reaction, but like maybe if you just kind of like listener, maybe not. But then again, it depends how you transfer the information. Because some people are poets and they hear a song and then they write their poetry poem.
That's facts too. I've been inspired by other artists as well. And I'm just like, yo, yeah, I felt that before. And then I get to moving on it too because I felt something and I say it in my way.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So I want to transition to something, man. I know, you're in the education space now. And how I got to where I'm at right now is, I won't say it's by accident. I feel like, the world was actually shifting me in this direction. And I was going to get there at some point in time. So, the inception of this actually started way back in 5th grade, learning about stocks and the stock market. And I always wondered at that point in time, I wanted to get into it. But, I never had anybody around me that was actually doing it. So I actually had to shape myself from Twitter. And I used Twitter to help build who the people were in my feed, because at that point in time, the algorithm was always kicking people and I always followed, other hip hop artists, movie stars, whatever it was, that's who it was feeding to me. So then I was like, all right, abandon that. I changed it all up. I just got a new Twitter and then I just started following just straight up stock and business stuff. So it started feeding me people. The next thing you know, that feed became local. And then I started building with other people and I started from the ground up to get to where I'm at now. So fast forward, did you have anything that sparked you in any shape, form, or fashion to start into like a financial journey to where you're at right now?
I would say one of the big things was my wife, her upbringing versus mine.
Okay.
So I was Brooklyn in the building.
Yeah, same here. All
day. Her upbringing was a house.
Okay.
So as we got older together, she was on a house. My mindset is, so when we were younger, she grew up in a house. I grew up in an apartment building.
Yep.
So that vibe, like running around New York, I'm just trying to hustle and, maybe get an apartment. You know what I'm saying? Like that.
That's it.
So as I got older, her having that upbringing of understanding houses and stuff like that, then we bought our first house. And then after that, then I had my youngest, and then we moved, and then I became a landlord. So then I owned that house, and then understanding that aspect of it, then I moved, and then I built this house here. And then I was a landlord for that house, you know what I'm saying? So just like kind of understanding those dynamics of it once I got into it. But I really didn't have no idea of it because my mindset wasn't that from upbringing. Yeah. So it took me to kind of understand that and seeing a different perspective of it from that form. And then also understanding, like being real with myself as an artist is that, all right, so I may not be rapping forever. What am I going to do as I get older? Yeah. Right? How am I going to transition? What can I do to transition? I had this degree, some things was going on with my daughter at school. And I was like, well, I'm just going to go up there and start teaching her class because they wilding up there. And it never happened that way. Actually, I wound up becoming a teacher because I went to file some papers to actually go teach my daughter's class. And a white lady actually said that black guys need you in the school, the black kids, minority. Okay. So I said that within those 3 seconds of her telling me that, I changed my whole life. And that was it. And I became a teacher because of that. Because that was the most realest question ever asked of me. I've never been asked to do something more important than that. Yeah. So that's what made me become a teacher. So, those things also allowed me to kind of like okay, combine this education, doing hip hop, the impact on people, and how am I transitioning from music, or how am I transitioning with music?
Yeah.
So I would say upbringing, and then me and my wife, and learning her upbringing influenced me in a way of real estate stuff. And then me doing music and education gave me time to kind of reevaluate where am I going down the line. So that made me do books and
Okay.
other things like that. So those are the way that I kind of formulated who I am now.
Okay. You know
And that's
what?
pretty much what I am.
I I believe that you really don't know yourself until you start getting to around 30, right? And we talking about life experiences and all that, because you really don't have the ingredients to even make you until you go through a couple things and learn and say, okay, I remember this. I remember how that happened. I remember how that didn't happen. Or seeing somebody else going through a couple things so you can kind of apply it to your own self and you know, and shape who you are. So
Who you meet.
yeah. All of these things play a part into you becoming who you are going to be. And it takes time. That's why I say, you know, people really don't understand who they are until they're probably like 32, 33. Even then, you really just got all of the pieces to the puzzle at that point in time. And you got to start just sliding them in and fitting them into where they are so you can go, yeah, this is what it is right now.
Yeah, I think it's getting to be younger because we're starting to understand more so, and you know, my kids, they understand way earlier now. Like
Oh yeah.
my daughters understand a lot of this stuff that I'm doing now. They understand it now because I'm able to pass it down to them earlier.
Right.
So I
Right.
think there's a lot of first generations things going on. So like even with me, there's the first generation of like finishing college and stuff like that, and going to school and all these things that I'm doing, but I'm passing the knowledge down to my kids so
Yeah.
they're aware of these things going forward. And that's kind of what I said about like us being behind so much, that these are the things that we need to just stay with the positive stuff so we
Yeah.
can get catch up. But yeah, so that's kind of where my mindset is now, is also owning stuff, right? So like
Oh
that's the
yeah.
main thing.
Yeah.
I don't do I try, if anything, not to do anything unless I own it. One of the major things I got coming up is I licensed a curriculum to the University of Miami.
Okay. That's what's
Yeah,
up, man. Yeah.
yeah. So that's, you know, I own it, right? So it's videos. It's gonna be me just like this talking to you about how to write better rhymes, how to write better songs, how to freestyle, all of that.
Okay.
So I got the videos. I have them already. I'm already like, it'll be out maybe like February. And you
Okay.
can go on the website. Anybody can take the course. It's non-credited. You pay for it. And then you get to hold the courses for a year. And then of course they go back to the school or whatever. And so I wouldn't have made that move if I didn't learn from prior stuff. Like it would have
Right.
been more like, you know, let me sell this to them. And instead I'm like,
Now let me
nah, let
own
me
that.
license it.
Yeah.
Let me license it, right? Or my mindset is building up and doing all of these things I've been doing to have the credentials and clout to ask to license stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's what it is. You got to make sure you're building up your repertoire to have the courage and demand to be able to ask those things. So,
So yeah, let me
I mean, it's so much from just experiences that I just, my approach to things are way different.
yeah. One of the premises about this show, how I started it, was your 5 friends that you have closest to you is a reflection of who you are. So if you want to elevate yourself, you gotta either get a new set of friends or your friends have to grow up with you. So
Yeah,
with all that being said, who is the friend that you have that helped you elevate to where you are right now?
man, you said it right there. My group chat is me, Master Ace, my boy Strickland, my boy Pearl Gates, and my other brother Steve, and my other brother Power.
Okay.
Uh, and everybody is successful. You got Ace, who's very successful
Yeah.
doing music and everything else. You got Strickland. Everybody knows he used to be a fire lieutenant, retired from there, real estate mogul stuff with it now. You got Gates, huge in the tech side of things. You know what I'm saying? He's crazy with the coding and software engineering, and he's chilling. My other guy, Steve, the Angry Merch guy with the appeared on EMC albums, he's in the tech world too. And then my boy Power Malu, he's more on the philanthropist side. He's up there like helping people every day. If you ever go check out at Power Malu on Instagram, he's really out there putting houses together for people, getting them food, teaching
That's
them
what's
about
good.
that. So that's my everyday talk to people. Every day. That's us. And that's all the people I've been around for the past 20 years, because we went on tour 15 years straight.
Yeah.
So I've been around them, every day. So that's the type of energy and motivation I have on a daily situation. So that's the 5. I'm 5, 6. I'm around right there. So
yeah, that energy is everything.
That gives you an idea of why I am how I am.
Energy is everything. We got to guard that. It's the same thing as how you're supposed to guard your time, your energy. Got to make sure of that, man. And manifestation is something that's real that people don't really respect. You become what you think. I tell my daughters this all the time. If you want to be it, you got to think it. You got to make sure that you actually believe in it. You got to make sure that you I had a pencil, right? A lot of people call me old school because I write a whole bunch of stuff down, but that's how I got to where I'm at, because I would write down my goals and I would say, all right, at this point, this is what I want to do. And I'd be specific about it. You call it out. So when it happens.
You speaking of that, you speaking of goals, one of the things I learned is I don't have a goal without actually jotting down or making sure I complete the objectives first. Okay. So that's another thing of why people aren't finishing stuff, is because like a lot of times we just think of the goal and everybody wants to skip the objectives. Yeah. Right. So when I'm talking to kids at school, I'm like, yo, if you hit the pause button, it tells you all the objectives. You can't. What happens if you just go fight the boss on day one? It's gonna get killed. You know what I'm saying? You're playing the game. So I try to explain. You hit pause, it tells you got to go here, get the shield. You got to go here, get this weapon. You got to go here, get this. You got to go here, get this, get that, get that. Now you right. You go there, you beat the boss. So a lot of people, I think, we just got to kind of just stay on that vibe of just like, this is what I'm trying to do to get here. What do I need to do to get there? Yeah. And if you just jot down a list of it, that's how I got out of college. I remember I was in college. I'm sure a lot of people in college, you just kind of wandering around. You're in your room, you're in your dorm room. You're trying to figure out what you need to take, what you want to take to get out of here. And then I felt like I was in there wasting money. Like they got me in classes I don't need. So one day I just went to the counselor and I got this book, the academic book, and for my major, and I tore the page out and it had everything I needed to graduate. It didn't have no random stuff on it. It said this major, this degree needs this, and that. I pinned that on my wall. And I only would register those classes. I wasn't doing nothing else. I said, I need that. Don't come to me with this. That's what they try to do. Your counselor try to hit you with, you may want to try this. Nah, because it's a business. It's a business for them. Nah, don't do that. Get everything you need to get. And then if you want to do that, come back and take that class. So objectives, man, I would just tell people it's cool to talk about what you're trying to do, but like, I would like to hear the objectives for it first. Yeah, I think that's more important. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I write down small goals. So each week is what I do. Like this show, for instance, like every single week, I have time allocated and I say, all right, I want to edit this part of it. I want to do this for the YouTube channel on this day, and then by the end of the week, I'll look at it and I say, okay, now I got the gumbo. All of that's already in there. So now, boom. And then the next week, I'll plot out the same way. So I make sure I continually stay on that to get to the end goal, which is to continue to grow. Right. That's how it breaks down. All right, so I want to actually switch this one over to the fragility of life, right? Because the one thing that I picked up on with your albums is you don't curse, right? A lot of artists, they say a lot of things, freedom of speech, all of that, right? I actually didn't start not cursing until this show. And I thought about it in the perspective of I want my daughters to be able to digest what I talk about. I want them to be able to listen to it. I want to feel comfortable with any of my daughter's friends being able to listen to the podcast without feeling like somebody's going to get offended by something. So at that point in time, I was like, I don't have to do it. And on top of that, the first artist that I remember, before you was Method Man after that, because he stopped cursing. And then I started listening to his lyrics, but I was like, yo, Meth ain't cursing. And he one of the illest too. I don't have to curse in order to get my point across. So I completely eliminated it. So what I want to ask you is, at what point in time do you remember that you said, I'm not cursing in none of my rhymes?
I think it really just became a reflection as I got older of who I was becoming as a man, right?
Okay.
So like early rhymes, I'm cursing. I'm all over the place with it, but I'm a kid. I'm like 20s, teens.
Same.
So then I'm like early 20s, still cursing and stuff. And then as I got older, I remember one session, we did a freestyle session. It was me, Prince Poe, Tretch, and Trends of Culture in the booth rhyming. And Tretch one day said, man, you gotta chill, you gotta watch how you're cursing it, or your radio is gonna be it's just gonna be sounding crazy. And that stuck with me for a minute. And then as I got older, I started looking at the people I'm around that speak highly of me, that want to bring me in other circles. And it's hard to tell them to go listen to my music. It's hard to tell them to go do this, and I'm trying to make it to this level in something. Or, do something in the corporate level, in the corporate world. Yeah, so it's hard to elevate in some of these worlds that you're getting recommendations for. And the music has all this craziness in it, and you can't even play it. And then that's also kids and stuff. My kids, they could listen to any of my songs, and I want people to just be able to play it. And be able to listen. Because at the end of the day, for me, the literary work is more important to me than the music at some point, for real. So that's why I did like this book, for those that don't have it, Wordsworth, Volume 1. This is all just straight bars, and why I write the bars and explain the reason behind the bars. So I just think it's important to mature and understand what I'm aiming for from my lifestyle, culturally, and everything. And just trying to represent and understand who I grew up around and what I grew up around and what do I need. And that's kind of how I got to that. Just like, yo, I ain't gonna curse no more. I don't need to. Like,
I looked at a lot of times when I actually did curse, it was filler. And I was really just trying to fill something in so I can extend it, or I was upset about something, so I wrote it in there, I feel like there's another way for me to convey those emotions, and my vocabulary is actually stronger than that I can use different words to fill those spots that I felt like I needed to fill. So once I really, thought about it, I said, it's easy. And it really is easy. It's just, it doesn't come any difficult. I can still write a rhyme just as fast or whatever.
I mean, if you think about it, right, I said my biggest influence was Cool G Rap.
Yeah.
So we talking about the cursing is just embedded.
Yeah.
So being young, with hip hop, it's like, that's what's happening. I need to do that to be down.
Yeah, that's it.
So cursing was just in hip hop and a lot of rapping. So I was like, oh, I got to curse because then they'll take me seriously.
Yeah.
But then as I got older, I was just like, yo, I'm accepted already. I'm who I am. And it just doesn't make sense. And to go further with this, I just alleviate that so I don't feel like any apprehension towards recommending what I do. So you could listen to any album and be like, man, any kid, anybody could go to my albums and just be like,
just listen.
Yo, he's saying some stuff. If I'm good or not, the cursing ain't gonna stop. The cursing ain't gonna make you say if I'm good or not. The cursing ain't gonna.
That's not gonna change your decision. Yeah. Yeah, I got music out there right now that I'm not too proud about, right? So, one of my in-laws actually found me, and it was a funny story. He sent me a text. He was like, yo, this guy looks just like you. And I was like, because that is me, right? And he was talking about the song he was going to listen to, and it was dope and whatnot. And I was like, yeah, I mean, this was, 24-year-old me making this song, and, versus me now, it's a completely different person. Now, totally. Yeah, and I'm like, dang, I don't really want you listening to that. I'd rather you listen to what I'm talking about now. But that same spot, I also appreciate the 24-year-old version of myself, because I wouldn't be who I am now if I didn't experience that 24-year-old version of myself to say, yo, you don't need to do that part, because if I didn't experience it, then I would never have gotten to this spot.
Man.
Yeah.
Who you had around you. Like, I probably didn't have nobody around me to be like, yo, you don't need to do that, this and this and that. And it's the same thing now. Now I'm the person that can be around somebody 20-some years old and go, yo, you don't need to do that. Yeah. So everything is about who's around you to help mold you. That's why one of my things is like, you got to have to choose who you're going to listen to. And then, like, as far as who you respect to talk to you, that's a big thing. You can respect somebody telling you the wrong thing, or you're going to respect somebody telling you the right thing. You have to make that decision, because it's going to take you this path or that path.
Yeah. Make it simple. I tell my daughters the easiest thing to do is just to be decisive. Like, You got to know when to make a decision. And my kids would probably be like, yo, why is daddy telling me all this? My kids are 9, 7, and 5, right? And I've been telling them this stuff since basically like 2. Each one of them when they turn 2, and I specifically targeted 2 because all the research that I understood was that 2 years old, kids become a sponge and they just start soaking everything up. So I said, well, then I'm gonna influence them at the very beginning, so it's there. So I tell them about, death. Daddy's not going to be here. I tell them I love them all the time. Because there's one thing in the community that we didn't tell each other, I love you. Even to this day right now, as brothers, it's hard to tell, another black man, I love you, because of the social stigma behind it, right? But now I'm like, yo, throwing that out the window. I tell anybody, yo, brother, I love you, man. I love everything you're doing. It ain't got to be nothing like the way that people were trying to tell me.
That's another thing about the culture right there. You can't tell the brother, I love you. It's like a lot of stuff. I'd be like,
you gotta fight that.
You gotta get out of that madness.
Yeah. So yeah, I tell my daughters on a daily basis I love them. I tell them, simple stuff about death. Daddy's not here, not gonna be here forever. My job is to make sure that I give you everything that I have. So when you gotta make a decision, you know what decision to make, because the bad decisions come when you panic. So you gotta know what to do when you hit those parts of life that become difficult. So I'm the coach, and I got to tell you, this is how you got to play. You make the play over here. When you see that coming, I'm telling you, this is coming over here. You got to make sure you do this. Simplicity stuff that will eventually drop in their head, at some point in time. All right, so I want to talk about hip hop and positive messages, right? Because the albums have all had positivity in it. And, as we were discussing before the podcast, the music that we listened to back then, the G-raps and all that stuff, they didn't have those type of messages, right? So it took, brothers like yourself to actually translate that and use what was before you as an ingredient to make it into something different, right? So what's an opinion on why you think that there isn't more positivity in hip hop?
I really think it's just like the culture has evolved with the internet, right? And social media. And then the time it takes to spend online, the youth have more time than us who have maybe more knowledge.
Okay.
Right? So if you go on there, it's got like 15-year-olds, 16, 17-year-olds that really got time to be online. I mean, like, they're not working. It's almost like if you spent your gaming time doing this videos, they do all the music, they got everything. It's easy to make videos. You put music out quick.
Yeah, super easy.
A lot of older artists. Albums drop every year, every 2 years. So the ratio to combat it is difficult on the basis of just time.
Yeah.
I don't have time to be trying to, drop an album every 2 months and stuff like that, and trying to combat a kid or the generation, because hip hop is a youthful thing.
Yeah.
We talk about thousands, hundreds of thousands of kids every day just uploading whatever they see or saw or whatever that popular rapper did. You got if you got one artist that's popular right now for them, it's 30 to maybe 100 versions of that one popular artist that has that message, and they're all emulating it. And some of them don't even live that life, right? Because at the same time, when I was a kid, I was emulating.
Yeah, the same thing. Yeah. We just ain't had the same media outlets.
Yeah, the outlet. But when you get older, I got responsibilities. You got responsibilities. That would be like me and you trying to do an album every month. Be
like, yo, I ain't got the time for that. Like, your words, I can't do
against
that.
A kid that can sit all summer. We're talking about kids, not just one kid. We're talking about thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of kids. That's all they do all summer. Every day, wake up, do a song, whatever it is, negative or whatever it is, and upload it, hit a button. Don't care about the quality. Don't care about if it's mixed.
The internet don't care none of that.
None of that matters, right? It's just, boom, hit it. It's up there. Likes, views. Boom. I mean, to the point, it's rapping and doing songs about people that they killed and people that are dead. And nobody can stop it. They do it. Boom. It's
gone. Yeah.
Do it. It's up there. Now, when we were younger, as we got older, right? So I'm a fan of G-Rap. G-Rap's older, but then I come into my time and space where I get a deal. I can't even get an album or song out without probably signing to somebody.
Yeah.
So the gate is lifted now. There's no gate.
Yeah.
So now everything can just come in.
The floodgate is wide open. Yeah.
And if you're our age or my age or a little bit younger, let's say even maybe mid-30s, late 30s, you probably got a family or so on. So you don't got the time. Or you older, who got time to really do that when you're just basically trying to live life and enjoy your family time? I don't got time to be like, oh, these kids that's 16, 17 releasing these albums every week. Wow, and let me release something every week.
Put something out, yeah.
Because they're not gonna listen to it anyway.
Right. You can release an antidote album every single week, and it ain't gonna do nothing.
They're not gonna care. They're not gonna care anyway. They care about what's in their age range, kind of what's going on. Yeah. So it's just that it's just too much to try to combat. All I feel is you can still put out music. I just feel like I just could put out what I feel is my contribution to being positive. Yeah. And I think you have to lay these kind of like hieroglyphics and these scrolls and these things down, and not put them in a time context of it affecting everything now. Yeah. And if you understand that vibe, you'll just do you. And then when somebody comes across it 10 years, 20 years, maybe a year from now, whatever,
they get to enjoy that shade from that tree.
They enjoy it, and then they take that message and it spreads and it does it. So I think you got to be understanding that life is about being incremental.
Yeah. Yeah, that's bars right there, man. Because it took me a long time to understand that part of life, man. That the time and space isn't always now. You gotta be able to have a vision, because at some point in time, somebody did something before you to get to where you at right now.
Well, most things that are valuable are usually hundreds of years old.
Yeah,
and they impact now, right? So you got people still like Tupac and they quote him now. They still make movies about him, still do that. And then there's kids that even now they'll say, I'm the next Tupac.
Still, right? Yeah.
15, 16, because they just see it constantly. Or you got, Picassos and paintings that are the same thing, right? We're talking about hundreds of years, right? So you gotta, if you live in that mindset of artistry, not always resonating at the moment, then you just give your contribution. If it's powerful enough, it actually will. it'll transcend, and it will affect what it needs to affect.
Yeah. All right. So I got a few more here, right? And we're gonna go back to the hip hop here, right? Influence, right? Because we were talking about this, right? When we were growing up, the first influential song that I remember was Run DMC My Adidas. And they made a song about Adidas, shell-toe Adidas. Adidas had no idea how their sales ended up spiking so much. And then they come to find out that Run DMC made a song, flew them out, gave them a deal, the whole thing, right? Fast forward to, I want to say it was 2003, 2002, something like that, early 2000s. Nelly comes out with Air Force Ones, right?
Right.
He comes to do the same thing, basically, except for he didn't get no deal out of it, right? He ends up helping Nike make more and more money, because before the shoe came out, it was like $60 or something like that. Then Air Force Ones come out, then boom, next thing you know, it's like $110 or whatever for the Air Force sneaker. Yeah. So, all right, we're going to pit these songs against each other, all right? Which one you going with, Air Force Ones or Adidas? My Adidas.
I gotta go with the Adidas one.
The Adidas?
Because I try to think about the cultural impact of certain things sometimes.
Yeah.
I like the My Adidas. I'm not mad at Air Force Ones though. I just know I like the My Adidas joint. The beat too. I like that beat. That My Adidas beat.
Yeah. I think it might be a cultural thing, and because we grew up in that era and we saw Adidas there.
But I honestly could pick stuff from these new eras that I like better than whatever I came up in. I try to be very fair with it, man. I'll be like, nah, that's fire. That's fire than what it, you know what I'm saying? I could keep it real. I can keep it very real. I'll be like, nah, that's not good. But the Adidas joint just overall is just like we said, culturally, it just kind of changed the game, and I like that beat.
Yeah, all right, I'm siding with you on My Adidas, because I first heard that, I wanted to get a shell toe pair of Adidas, and when I heard Air Force Ones, I never really liked Air Force Ones, so it didn't really hit with me. So I was like,
it would hit because high school I was Air Force One out. If you
was okay.
If you get the fragility of life and the which is so wild, because I've shown this to kids at my school. Man, this one ain't open. But if you get it inside, it got pictures of me at 15. I had Air Force Ones on.
Oh, see, this is why I miss physical CDs. I don't have. Yeah. I mean, I got it, on the phone. Yeah. I just don't have the physical CD. I miss getting that and getting the artwork and the
physical. Yeah, I got everything for this album. I felt this album was so special. I got the vinyl.
Okay.
Because the cover, so like in my house and stuff, I just kind of show what I got going on in my house.
Yeah, that's dope, man.
So I got all of that stuff up there. So, that's kind of what it is with that. So as far as the impact for me with Air Force Ones I was rocking Air Force Ones, but back then it was the high top joints and you have your strap dangling.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They had the strap dangling. You had your strap dangling in the back and stuff like that. It wasn't the low ones back then. It was the high joints, and you had to have different check colors. Like you was real high the colors in the check. So, yeah, like here, I got the joints on right there.
Yeah.
So I gotta go. Air Force Ones was a big thing, but just song wise, I like My Adidas.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I was Air Max, so that's how the conversion really didn't happen for me, because it didn't resonate with me. All right, so a couple more here, and we just gonna switch it over to one of my shows that I used to watch, right? Lyrist Lounge, which I love. When I first saw the commercials for it on MTV, I immediately was like, "Yo, that's the show that I'm gonna watch," because it was, for me culturally, it was perfect, because I love rhyming. And I love comedy. So when I saw the two finally merge, I'm like, why is there no other show like this? So I was upset when the show was over. And to tell you the truth, I didn't even know the show was over. The last episode, I taped it, and it was like at the end of it, it was like the vacant, studio or whatever was at the end. And I'm like, Okay, does that mean what's going on here? Is this over? You know, so I'm still heartbroken if you can't tell. So, you know, what happened towards the end of that there that, you know, the show, what caused the end of the show basically is what I'm going to ask.
I think just the staff was different too at that time.
Okay.
So, at that time, the first season we had like the ill director and all of that. And then when we found out we got picked up, they kind of scrambled and they didn't have the same director. They actually gave us Tom Green staff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
People don't know that. So we had Tom Green writers. There was actually I'll never forget this, one of the first days meeting, one of the Tom Green writers came on the show. He was trying to give us an idea for the show. And we was like, he kept coming with these ideas. And we just like, nah, we don't want to do that. We want to do that. And then we was like, yo, have you ever watched the show before? He was like, I never seen the show. But he's in the writing room with us.
Yeah,
and
that's a
I
problem.
remember Dev Jeff, Dev Jeff was like, yo, you really need to go watch the show. You know what I'm saying? You haven't seen an episode and you here trying to give us ideas. You don't even know what the show is about.
Yeah.
So that, and then we got a director that had no idea what hip hop was about. The first director was all about hip hop. I mean, like if you messed up a bar, the director made you do it over.
Yeah.
Like they were into it like that. Second one was like, didn't even know if you messed up. Didn't care. You know what I'm saying? So there was a lot of friction and tension on the basis of people not caring about the culture of it, man.
Listen.
And what it was, because you got a whole new staff of people that don't care about the culture of it. They just got hired. And that really caused a lot of issues when you don't got people that care about it and we there caring about the culture.
Yeah.
You know, shout out to Kenny Buford because he was there, one of the head writers. So luckily he came back and returned. And Kenny Buford, he used to write jokes for Martin Lawrence. He actually used to write Martin's show.
Okay.
So you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. He's part of the culture.
He's part of the culture.
Yeah.
So Kenny would draw up certain sketch ideas and we'd be like, that's fire. And then we would do these ideas. And then us alone, we would sit together and come up with ideas. And we'd be like, yo, we had like 40 ideas and then we picked the top 10. We said, let's do these. So that's really what happened, man. When you got people, you change out people that are culturally relevant to the idea of the show, and you give us a whole new staff of people that don't care. I mean, people don't go watch the show that they're working on.
And they tell
who does that?
Yeah, that's insane.
That's crazy. It's basically disrespectful. And then you got other people that don't care about how it's filmed. And then, one of our producers had a discrepancy with the president at the time, so that caused an issue. It was just a lot of things like that, man. I mean, overall, I still feel proud that we made it through 2 seasons.
Yeah,
because I started sitting home to watch Netflix. I'd be like, Dad, it's going after 1 season. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think nobody understand. Yo,
that's not gonna work.
Yo, I got to 2. You know what I'm saying? Yo, I got to 2.
That's an accomplishment, man. Some people got to 0. Yeah.
Yeah. Some people don't understand. Like
that pilot don't even take off.
A lot of people nowadays, I just reading something about Netflix just canceled something, and it was 1 season and had big actors in it. And I was like, yo, making it out of that 1 is no joke.
Yeah.
So I hold on to that because I'm like, yo, make it out of 1. You know what I'm saying? You gotta try to make it out of 1. It's no joke.
Hey, man, I love the show. You connected obviously with the right people, because when I used to watch it, and how old was I? This was what, early 2000s when this show was out.
2000.
Yeah. So this was 18, 19-year-old me. 17, 18, 19. Yeah. Right. 18. We'll say it that way.
Yeah.
But I was watching the show and I thought all the sketches was dope, man. Every single one. I was like, yo, I can't believe these cats is rhyming the whole sketch. That made me have to pick my game up, and I started freestyling a little bit more. So me and my brother, we sit there and listen to it. I had the tapes, so we get the instrumentals, just throw them on, and we just start going, and just doing as best as we can, because I couldn't really freestyle that well, and I lost my skill since then because I stopped freestyling. But at that point, I started getting nice, and then I started getting out more. And, my boys, we started freestyling in the car. Then we start going to other places, and there'd be ciphers, and, yo, good in there. I'm like, all right. And then, we start kicking it. But yeah, man, I love the show. If I could watch the tape, I definitely would put it on, but I ain't got no VCR.
Yeah, I got them on. I got the episodes too, man. I got them on DVD though, some of them. So
yeah, you one up me right there. But still.
Yeah, I got some else. But yeah, man. Yeah, that was a great time and stuff. So I enjoyed it, man. I enjoyed it. It was so many moments. I mean, like coming up with the first skit, and that was crazy. Like, yo, we're gonna do a bank robbery.
Yeah, that was a dope one. Yeah,
over Quiet Storm beat, right? So it's like that's huge because the main thing about it was like us writing it, like how we writing this to translate to the world, and then making it dope. And to this day, the rhymes, you can say the rhymes and it's still fire. Like the rhymes will forever be fire. That's the key to it. That was the key to it. Like making sure whatever we write is fire forever. And that's whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? You can watch any of the episodes and say the rhymes. The rhymes are still crazy.
This is a fact. My favorite one was the airplane skit. That one right there.
But yeah, the airplane skit was crazy. I remember I was writing that. My personal might be the football skit when I'm just rhyming.
The football one was dope. Yeah.
I remember me writing that. I was sitting there writing that, and writing that in a hotel. This was the second season, and we didn't have a house yet. So then I'm sitting at the table in the hotel writing that, and I couldn't come up with the last line. And then Fool came in with the last line. It's a quarterback fake on which you break. I said, that's genius. That was the illest line right there. The quarterback fake on which you break. Yeah. It's so relevant to football. I'm writing the rhyme from the quarterback, and I don't know how to end this. And he came with that line. So that just, it's so many moments of understanding how to put it together and write it. There's so many dynamics to it,
And then you bring up the whole cultural relevance again too. This football, you got to make sure it's correct. Everything had to fall in place. And listen, man, y'all put something together that I can't say it'll never be done, because I thought there'd never be another Jordan.
I think Wild 'N Out
close.
Is similar, but I think Nick Cannon was smart because he had television experience, so his way of taking influence, he knew how to maximize it. People don't recall there was a show that came after our show on MTV too. It was called Crash and Burn.
I really don't remember that.
Yep, they tried to do the same thing. It was another show right after ours ended. They tried to do one.
Oh, did they use Tom Green writers again?
I don't know what they did, but it was called Crash and Burn. If you ever check it out, if you ever get to find it, you'll see what I'm saying. They did skits, rhyming.
Okay,
they thought they could do it.
Yeah.
So,
say hi, Shug.
Hi.
Hello. How you doing?
He's one of my youngest here, where I teach you all of this stuff too.
Daddy, I got number 5.
Good job. Hold on 1 second, all right? Mm-hmm. All right, so I think that's it right there, man. I finished it off. You finally got me right with what happened to Lyricist Lounge, because it's been burning. It's been burning. I can't wait to tell my brother.
No, that's what happened. We got a whole new staff, and that staff wasn't hip-hop, with it. And that, the caring for
the culture.
The care for the culture is totally different.
Like as Dame always says, the culture vultures.
Yeah, I don't know if there was culture vultures. I would say they needed a job.
Yeah, so they were just doing what they were supposed to do.
They were doing right. So you got somebody that your show ended, because that's the thing about TV, right? That's the real rough thing about TV. People don't know about, probably don't care about. If you work on a TV show and you're, let's say, AD, assistant director, line supervisor, craft services, whatever it is, when that show ends, you're scrambling for a job.
For a job, yeah.
That's not like a definite job like you're always gonna have. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing about it. You know what I'm saying? That people may not understand. So that's a serious game to be in. And if you're not in front of the camera and so on, everybody is basically, when you do a TV show, everybody is temporary. It's part-time.
That's easy.
Everybody's part-time.
Yeah.
Everybody's part-time on the TV show.
At some point in time, it's over.
It's over, or it could be over next contract. You might not sign again. Everybody's part-time when you work on TV, man.
Dang, that's cutthroat out there. I don't want that life. I'm good with the podcasting, man. Like you said, for the culture, man. Like when I developed this strictly for the culture, because like I said, there was nothing else being done like that. And I wanted to make sure that I played my part in helping reshape what it could actually be. Because as long as it's done, like you said, as long as the rhymes is fire, and it lives forever, man. And this is kind of a story related to what happened to you with the writers, right? I've been working on, growing this. And so I started outsourcing some help to try to figure out, how could I potentially take this? So I ended up talking with this chick, and she was like, you should do this and that. But it was a white chick, and she don't really know about the culture. And I'm trying to tell her, like, yo, this show is not going to hit if the rhymes are not fresh every episode. Like I can't give you the same bars every single time, because at some point in time it's gonna skip over that. Like, this is something relevant, so it's gotta be fire every time. So this show takes a little bit to create, because I gotta be in that space to say, all right, this is what I want to talk about. Boom, all right, boom, put it together and make sure it's right. I'm presenting for the culture. Absolutely.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Nobody, the understanding of the bar set for a rhyme is not understood, right? It's like, I've been in those positions when people were like, hey, can you create a rhyme for this? And I'm like, you don't really understand what it takes to do this. You just think I'm just throwing joints out and it's just whatever it is. It's like there's integrity behind the craft of it. So
just like you, I got stuck on a bar just recently. It was one last bar, and it was for the show that I just did before this one. And the last bar, I got 15. I'm like, I just need the 16th. And I'm going through it in my head, and I'm like, I can't close this one. Like, how do I close this one the way I wanted to? And I had, like 3 or 4 candidates, and they just didn't slide with it right. And I'm like, I can't let that one go like that. So it just sat. And I finally wrapped that one up yesterday as I was sitting there listening to it, and I was like, that's it right there. Finally, it takes a minute. Like you said, you can't just throw anything out. It's got to make sure it works with it, man. So
gotta work with it, man.
Yeah, so I appreciate you, man, spending this much time with me, man. I'm a huge fan.
No problem, man. Thanks, man. It's a Sunday. I'm chilling, man. I did my homework. I'm in school again. So I did homework for that, and I got time to kind of chill. Vacation coming up next week.
All right.
And work on some more music. Gonna drop a Christmas record with me and P.A. Dre next week.
Okay.
And then I just did a Christmas verse for a song that Ace is dropping, I guess Christmas too. And I just really been trying to get people to get this right here. The socks.
Yeah,
yes,
look, man.
It's a real book for y'all people out there. It's not no like 10-page book. It's 100 pages.
Some pages, yeah.
100 pages, man. It's a real book. This is the hardcover. The hardcover takes longer to get. I love the hardcover though. If you got time to wait, but it takes time to come. But we got some good interest in the book to be in some schools in New York and things like that. So if you really want to get a bulk of or a whole bunch of them for your district and community or whatever, hit me up and I can give you like a discounted price for a bulk amount. And that's what I'm about, man. Look out for that University of Miami course. It's called Organized Rhyme. Systematic approach to learning how to freestyle, songwrite, and be a better rhymer. And so that'll be out February. So that's University of Miami. You log on. It's non-credited. You pay for it. You get it. You can. Man, it's gonna be dope, man. The idea is that the person I'm working on it with is dope, man. Like you do a freestyle and you leave the freestyle, other people see your freestyle, comment on. I mean, this is like unprecedented type of stuff I'm just trying to do, man. And yes, thanks for the support.
Yeah, man.
You know, forget this came out Undivided Attention as well. That came out a little bit before Fragility of Life, so I'm just staying busy and
working.
And creating, man. Yeah. I just want to create, and I'm still learning. That's the best thing.
The same here. Always learning, man. If you're not learning, you're dead. That's my phrase right there, man. Yo, words. Much love,
thanks
brother.
For having me, man.
And I want to tell you one more time before you go, brother, I love you. I love everything that you're doing.
Thank you, man.
I love your family. I love your kids that you're involved with. I love your cat, your dog, whatever you got, man. Everything that you want.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, that you want in life. I hope that you can achieve it. And if there's any way that I can help you get to that part, I'd be more than honored to help you get there. Because that's all I want to see is my brothers continue to grow, strive for the right things. And like you said, man, we're already behind. So we got to help each other out as much as possible.
Let's keep it positive. Let's keep it with positive stuff. So, yeah, man. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Road to the riches, foot upon the gas pedal. I'm black and investing, I'm a cash rebel. Every day I'm fighting bosses on the last level. Future calling, still gotta listen to what the past tells you. My vehicle of choice, no two-seater, it's a school bus. It's a caravan, we deep looking to scoot some groups up. The better chance I never had, now I give the youth one. Me and words educating you, ain't no excuses. Our culture hating is a form of Ku Klux. Say goodbye to those guys, say hello to new us. Out with the old, in with the better. Owning stock is the goal of trainers to tell you. It's in the knot in my soul to win from my failures. From the blocks that I stroll, men turn to felons. Use that same mindset, we could be moguls. Change the block we rap to Wall Street is what my poems do. I'm doing what I'm supposed to. Stocks and bars going global. I told you. Stocks and bars, stocks and bars, stocks and bars.